Hello and welcome to a new series from South Wales. I haven't travelled too far for this series, remaining within the British Isles. And in this series we'll visit Cardiff, Swansea and several other places here in South Wales. But I'm starting in the city of Newport and the Belle Park. And in the early morning sunshine, it's quite delightful here, it really is. It's about 6:30 in the morning. Temperature at the moment is about 13 degrees. But hopefully the weather will last throughout this trip. But I don't think it will. The forecast for the rest of the week is very wet and windy. But it's not going to spoil my day today. And it's got off to a great start here in Belle Park. This park was a gift to Newport from Godfrey Morgan, the first Viscount of Tredegar, and it opened in 1894. And the beautiful, just walking here, bandstand and the pavilion, which is just behind me as well. It dates from 1910. Absolutely lovely here. I do like seeing bandstands. What a fantastic location for a bandstand opposite the old Victorian pavilion. But in this video we're going to take a walk through the city, discover some fabulous history, head up to the castle, find some haunted pubs, and as usual we'll discover something else along the way. But firstly I'm going to have a little walk around this park and then head to Newport Cathedral. And some great history there as well. So let's have a walk around the park. I did have an enjoyable walk around the park. Absolutely beautiful on a sunny morning. But I've walked up to the cathedral and I find a monument to the temperance movement. The British Women's Temperance Association, erected in 1913. Don't we often see monuments to the temperance movement? It's quite nice to see, and it's nice to see it's been preserved and well kept as well. But this is the cathedral. Just walk through the gate here. It's quite modern, this gate, I believe, but it's really rather nice. But what I've come to look at is a memorial plaque, and it depicts an event on the 4th of November 1839, when more than 20 supporters of the Chartist movement, which sought to establish democratic rights for all men, died in an exchange of shots at the Westgate Hotel here in Newport. And 10 of them were buried in this churchyard. I'm going to go down towards the Westgate Hotel and see where all that happened and tell you a little more about it. But it's nice to see the plaque here in the churchyard. Events like that should be remembered. The cathedral is quite magnificent. It's the seat of the bishops of Monmouth, and the church was founded by St. Gwilym. I think that's how you say his name. I'm not sure. I was told yesterday how to pronounce his name, but I've forgotten. Never mind. I'll put his name on the screen, and maybe somebody who speaks Welsh can can pronounce it. But he lived in the 5th century, which was after the Roman occupation, and it was at a time when Wales was beginning to develop its national identity. And it really is, looking at it, quite a marvellous cathedral. But Gwynedd is also known as Woolos. I don't know why, and I've asked a few people and they don't know either. So if you happen to know the connection between well, the name on the screen and Woolos, then let me know by leaving a comment in the comment section. But Woolos was converted to Christianity. He was told in a dream to search for a white ox with a black spot on his forehead. In that place, he was to build a church. Well, that church has now developed into Newport Cathedral. It became a cathedral back in 1949. And what a splendid building it is as well. So let's go inside and take a look. Beautiful cathedral. It was inside. Quite small as cathedrals go. But it's not size that's important. It's the building and the history and all the people that have worshipped here for over 1,000 years. Just as I went in, they were preparing for morning prayer. So I joined a few of the congregation for morning prayer, and I was made so welcome. Morning prayer is such a great start to any day. It was interesting to see the depiction of Christ hanging from the chancel. Wire depiction of Christ. Apparently it came from Singapore. It had been discarded from another church, and they brought it over and installed it back in 2020. Nice to see the stained glass window to St. Gwilheim, or Woolos, as I shall call him, because I'm not sure on the pronunciation of his Welsh name, but lovely to see that. So I'm going to walk down now to Stow Hill, walk down into the centre of the city, down towards the Westgate Hotel, and the location for the Newport Rising, back in the 4th of November, 1839. We'll see what else we can discover on the way. Nice little walk down Stow Hill. I've come across this war memorial. This one's really rather interesting. Carved tree trunk depicting riflemen from the First World War. And there's a plaque here. Talk over the builders. There's a plaque here which reads, "Here stood Stow Hill Drill Hall, from which sailed Newport's own territorial soldiers, the first rifle battalion of the Monmouthshire Regiment, to fight for Britain at the outbreak of the 2 World Wars." And that regiment made its mark back in 1915, because it says here they wrote the saddest yet most glorious chapter in Newport's history. On May the 8th, 1915, when in an heroic stand against great odds before Ypres, the Monmouthshires helped to bar the Germans from the vital Channel ports. And from original 500 in number, only 129 officers and men survived. What bravery, amazing bravery of the Monmouthshire Regiment. We should always remember those who fought for our country to make us free. And I see war memorials all over the country, wherever I visit. And this one is really rather nice, apart from the noise of the builders. But never mind. Let's walk down the bottom of Stow Hill and see where that uprising took place. Down at the bottom of Stowe Hill by what was used to be the Westgate Hotel. But I've just noticed this rather unusual milestone. It says to Downing Street, 145 miles. That's a very strange milestone to see in the centre of Newport. And on the back, 4th of November, 1839. And the words underneath, in their footsteps. I wonder if that's related to the events that took place here during the Newport Rising. I'll come to that in a moment. But I'll just turn around and there's this wonderful statue. Sir Charles Morgan of Tredegar, Baronet. And he's looking down Commercial Street, which he designed and shaped during his lifetime. And at one end of Commercial Street is now John Frost Square. And this is the location of the Newport Rising from the 4th of November, 1839. It was the last large-scale armed rebellion against the authorities in mainland Britain. John Frost and 3,000 other Chartists marched on the Westgate Hotel at the centre of the town. And here is the Westgate Hotel. Chartism was a working class movement for political reform that grew from 1838 to 1857. And looking up at the Westgate Hotel, it's seen better days. Yeah, it's seen better days. Once the great hotel, the popular Victorian hotel, where everybody wanted to stay. Now just left and abandoned, with a few shops underneath. Great shame. But the marchers, well, they met with an attack by the militia, called to the town by the mayor, Thomas Phillips, and around 20 marchers were killed. 10 of them were buried up at St Woolos, and others were buried elsewhere within Newport. But John Frost himself was sentenced to death for treason. But this sentence was later commuted to transportation to Australia. However, he returned to Britain later in his life, and John Frost Square was named after him back in 1977. And there's some statues in the middle of the square which depict the uprising, and it's nice to see those. Towns and cities should never forget their history, and something that's as important as the Newport Rising. It's a significant point in history, not just for Newport, but for the Chartist movement, from which we've all benefited today indirectly. But yeah, looking up that hotel, can you imagine what it might have been like 100 or so years ago, 150 years ago, in the height of Victorian Britain, the well-to-do centred around this square, visiting the hotel. But like most city centres, they've fallen into disrepair. Quite a few boarded up shops down here, reminiscent of what reminds me of any city centre or town centre location. So many towns and cities have got boarded up shops, run down areas, and that's just society that we live in today. But as I walk down the high street here, down Commercial Street, my eyes are automatically at about 6 to 8 feet off the ground, because that's where we look as we walk down any street. But if we look up, we actually start to see some of the beauty of the architecture that's here in Newport, and some of it's really rather nice. Looking up at the building here, it's very decorative on the front, and the embossed faces as well. I'm sure again in Victorian times this would have been a prominent and notable building here in Newport. It's just a shame that The building next to it is boarded up. But looking up at the upper levels, it really is rather nice. It really is nice to look at. There are some gems of architecture in rundown city centres and town centres if you know where to look. And there's a few gems around here as well. A few other buildings are quite decorative. But let's see what else we can discover here in Newport on the way down to the castle. We'll try and find those haunted pubs. Had a nice visit to the museum. It's upstairs on the first floor of the library and well worth visiting. I went there to see their Roman displays. Quite nice to see the Roman mosaic that they found as well. Do you like my Roman things? Anything Roman. But I'm down here on the River Usk. This is the river that flows through Newport. And that rather splendid bridge behind me. What I've come to see down here is a statue. And it's a statue to a man called David Pearce, or Bomber Pearce as he was known, because he was a Welsh heavyweight boxing champion known as the Welsh Rocky, and he held both the British and the Welsh heavyweight titles, and held the #1 WBC cruiserweight ranking from 1983 to 1985. He had 24 bouts in his career. He won 19 of them, lost 4, and had 1 draw. And he died young in 2000, just after his 41st birthday. Born on May the 8th, he died on May the 20th. And it's really rather splendid statue of him. Yeah, I do like to see statues of local people who have done well, and David Bomber Pearce certainly made the Welsh proud with his boxing. Really nice to see this. I've driven past here so many times in the coach. I used to drive the London to Swansea coach, and Newport was one of my stops. And I drove past the castle, and I drove past this fantastic statue as well. And I've always said that I'd come back to Newport to visit both these places, the statue and the castle. And I've just ticked one off the list, seeing the statue of David Pearce. But just downriver is the castle, and sadly there's not much left of it today. But we'll go and take a look and see what has survived. I don't think you can go in. So yes, it's closed. I found somewhere that's closed, but I knew it's closed because I know you can't actually go into the castle, which is a great shame. But let's go down and take a look. I've been having a walk around on the other side of the river. There's not much to see, just flats and housing. But I've crossed over onto the Newport Bridge, because I get a really good view of the castle from here. This bridge was opened on the 22nd of June 1927 by His Majesty's Minister of Transport, Colonel the Right Honourable Wilfred Ashley MP, and takes the place of a stone bridge that was built here in 1800 by David Edwards. Nice little plaque on the wall there to read all the information off. Yes, that's how I do it. Well, sometimes. But looking down at the castle from here, you get a great view of what it might have been like in its heyday. You see the towers either side of the water gate, built right onto the river. Probably been a moat around the castle as well at some point. In quite a magnificent structure. Built in the 14th century, probably by Hugh de Audley. He was the first Earl of Gloucester, or possibly his son-in-law, a man called Ralph, Earl of Stafford, with the purpose of managing the crossing here on the River Usk. And what a busy junction it is. What remains of the castle is sandwiched between roads and railway lines. Yeah, I wonder how much of the castle was destroyed to put in these link roads. Not nice to see a castle from a historian's point of view, historical point of view. It's not nice to see a castle that's been destroyed, even a ruined one, in order to put in infrastructure. Now, back in 1402, this castle was sacked by the forces of Owen Glendower, man who sacked many castles in Wales, and by 1522 it was in a state of disrepair. And then comes the English Civil War, and it was taken over by Cromwell's forces, and no doubt they did more damage here as well, and the castle declined further. It was declared in a state of ruin back in 1743. And looking at the castle today, just imagine what it might have been like. You can see the bottom area of the water gate. People would have arrived by the water, goods and provisions arriving by the water, rather like the Traitor's Gate at the Tower of London, a water gate. Probably the Trader's Gate originally, tradesman's entrance, because all fortified castles needed food and water to keep the people and the garrison going. And if a castle was laid siege to, then food and water runs out. But if you're on a river, like Newport Castle here, you can be supplied by the river. So laying siege to a castle like this would have been a lot more difficult. But it's nice looking up at the towers and just seeing what's there, what has survived. But yeah, it is closed, you can't go in. And I can see why, because there's no safe walkways there to walk around, which is a shame. But it probably is open, or parts of it are open on special occasions. I would have thought Heritage Open Days or something. But yeah, nice to see it. But now let's go and find those haunted pubs. We'll find a wall mural as well. It tells the story of industry here in Newport. While I was looking at the outside of the castle, I found a little cat sleeping down by the side of the walls. Bless him. Someone's turfed him out. Stray cat. Don't like seeing cats without a home. But this is this mural. It's absolutely incredible to look at it. It depicts the Monmouthshire Railway and Canal Company from 1848 to 1880. And looking at the depictions, see the Tredegar coal horse, wagons being loaded from the canal and by train. See workers on the dockside, and the gentleman in his bowler hat surveying his industry. Really interesting to see that. This is why I love coming and walking around different towns and cities, because you would never see this unless you walk past here. Really is lovely to see. And now let's go and find that haunted pub. See what else we can discover as well on the way up to the railway station, because I have to catch a train to Cardiff. And I've just given away the location for a future video, but there we go. So let's find that pub. Just here is the Carpenter's Arms. This pub was built in 1403 and is the oldest pub in Newport. Also served as the town's lockup as well, where the cellars are now. Here criminals will be kept before going to jail. Long-term prisoners will be sent to the county gaol in Monmouth. But for short-term inmates, they'll be housed here in the old pub, the cellars beneath the old pub. And it's said that one jailer who was suffering from depression took his own life, and his ghost is said to haunt the building to this very day. Do like a good pub story. But whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it's a good pub story. And there's another old pub up here, the old Murenger house. And this pub takes its name from the job of a Murenger, a medieval person who collected tolls for the building or repair of town walls. The taxes were called a murrage. And the first mention of a building here was back in 1533. It was a private house belonging to the Herbert family of St Julian's Manor. But by the 17th century, it was a pub called the Fleur de Lis. And the current building? Well, it dates from 1819. And I've just walked through a film unit. They're making some sort of film here in Newport. I don't know what. If you happen to know, then leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know. But I think I've just walked past everybody of importance making my vlog. Never mind. But there we go. I'm going to end this video here outside the old Murenger. That's a great name, isn't it? What an occupation that was. But yes, I'm going to end my video here because I have to catch a train to Cardiff, which is hopefully where tomorrow's videos will come from. Weather permitting, of course. It's got rather chilly since this morning. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow my journey through this series all the way up to Aberystwyth. Said that in Welsh. Well, Welsh sounding. Yes, Aberystwyth is my final destination in this series. So many more videos to come and from many more locations here in South Wales. Thanks for watching.